Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. That's fine. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Stotra Stotra Shishimad, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Stotra Stotra Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 6, entitled Creation of the Universal Form. Today we are on text number 10. Smaran Vishvashrajam Isho Vignapitam Adhoksajaha Virajam Atapat Swena Tejasaisham Vivritaye Smadan Vishvashijam Isho Vignapitam Adhoksajaha Virajam Atapatsena Tejasaisham Vivritaye Smadan Vishvasrijam Isho Vignapitam Adhoksajaha Virajam Atapatsena Tejasaisham Vivritaye Smaran Vishvasrijam Isho Vignapitam Adhoksajaha Virajam Atapatsena Tejaisham Vivritaye. Please chant. Smaran Vishvasrijam Isho Vignapitam Adhoksajaha Virajam Atapatsena Tejasaisham Vivritaye Smaran Vishvasrijam Isho Vignapitam Adhoksajaha Virajam Atapatsena Tejasaisham Vivritaye Smaran Vishvasrijam Isho Vignapitam Adhoksajaha Virajam Atapatsena Tejasaisham Vivritaye Smaran Vishvasrijam Isho Vignapitam Adhoksajaha Virajam Atapatsena Tejasaisham Vivritaye Smaran Vishvasrijam Isho Vignapitam Adhoksajaha Virajam Atapatsena Tejasaisham Vivritaye. Vaishnavis. Smaran Vishvasrijam Isho Vignapitam Adhoksajaha Virajam Atapatsena Tejasaisham Vivritaye. Smaran, remembering. Vishvasrijam, of the demigods entrusted with the task of cosmic construction. Ishaha, the Supreme Lord. Vignapitam, as he was prayed for. Adhoksajaha, the transcendence. Virajam, the gigantic universal form. Atapat, considered thus. Swena, by his own. Tejasa, energy. Esham, for them. Vivrittaye, for understanding. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Aboy Charanadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The Supreme Lord is the supersoul of all the demigods entrusted with the task of constructing the cosmic manifestation. Being thus prayed to by the demigods, he thought to himself, and thus manifested the gigantic form for their understanding purport. The impersonalists are captivated by the gigantic universal form of the Supreme. They think that the control behind this gigantic manifestation is imagination. Intelligent persons, however, can estimate the value of the cause by observing the wonders of the effects. For example, the individual human body does not develop from the womb of the mother independently, but because the living entity, the soul, is within the body. Without the living entity, a material body cannot automatically take shape or develop. When any material object displays development, it must be understood that there is a spiritual soul within the manifestation. The gigantic universe has developed gradually, just as the body of a child develops. The conception that the transcendence enters within the universe is, therefore, logical. As the materialist cannot find the soul and the supersoul within the heart, similarly, for want of sufficient knowledge, they cannot see that the Supreme Soul is the cause of the universe. The Lord is therefore described in the Vedic language as Avan Manasa Gochara, beyond the conception of words and minds. Due to a poor fund of knowledge, the mental speculators try to bring the Supreme within their purview of words and minds, but the Lord refuses to be so intelligible. The speculator has no adequate words or mind to engage the infinity of the Lord. The Lord is called Adhoksaja, or the person who is beyond perception of the blunt, limited potency of our senses. One cannot perceive the transcendental name or fame of the Lord by mental speculation. The mundane PhDs are completely unable to speculate on the Supreme with their limited senses. Such attempts by the puffed-up PhDs are compared to the philosophy of the frog in the well. A frog in a well was informed of the gigantic Pacific Ocean, and he began to puff himself up in order to understand or measure the length and breadth of the Pacific Ocean. Ultimately, the frog burst and died. The title PhD can also be interpreted as plow department, a title meant for the tillers in the paddy field. The attempts of the tillers in the paddy field to understand the cosmic manifestation and the cause behind such wonderful work can be compared to the endeavor of the frog in the well to calculate the measurement of the Pacific Ocean. The Lord can reveal himself only to a person who is submissive and who engages in his transcendental loving service. The demigods controlling the elements and ingredients of universal affairs prayed to the Lord for guidance, and thus he manifested his gigantic form as he did at the request of Arjuna. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Atapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Godit Vishay Namaha Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitayacha Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Vaisheshikada Sarikari Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Vanchakalpaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yaswanubhavam Akila Shruti Saramekam Hadyatma Deepam Atitirtha Tam Tamondam Samsarinam Karunayaha Purana Guyam Tam Vyasa Sunam Upayami Guru Muninam Hantayam Adira Bala Haridasya Varyo, Yad Rama Krishna Charanas Parasha Pramodaha, Manam Tanoti Sahago Ganayastodayat, Paniyasu Yavasa Kandana Kandamulai. Smaran Vishvasrajam Isho, Vigna Pitam Madhoksajaha, Vidajam Matapat Swena, Tejasaisham Vivritaye. Translation: the Supreme Lord is the supersoul of all the demigods, entrusted with the task of constructing the cosmic manifestation. Being thus prayed to by the demigods, he thought to himself and thus manifested the gigantic form for their understanding. So we are continuing to hear the narration of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the book that is worshipped by our Sampradaya. And we're hearing further discussions between Rishi Maitreya and Saint Vidura. And we can see that what lies within the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam is this mood of deep inquiry. And this is what we're hearing now between Rishi Maitreya and Vidura. And I'm wondering if any of you can think of any other examples that exist within the Shastra that exemplify this mood of inquiry. You don't have to raise your hand, Prabhu, just say it. Arjuna and Krishna. The whole Bhagavad Gita is based on that relationship. Maharaj Parikshit, Shukadeva Goswami, yeah. Part?
He took it.
Oh, that was the best one. There's lots. Yeah. And who? Who's asking Hamza Avatar questions? It's got to be, you got to give two.
Narada Muni and Lord Brahma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Narada Muni and Vasudev?
Yep, that's a good one too. Yeah. So there's a lot. There's a lot. But, yeah. In the purport today, Suresh, go down to the last paragraph. The first sentence. Prabhupada makes a wonderful point. Last paragraph. Yeah. Okay, first sentence. The Lord can reveal himself only to a person who is submissive. So we can see that when a person is submissive to their gurus, then the guru feels inclined to bestow upon that person divya gyan. So the relationships that we see and hear about in the Bhagavatam are very wonderful, and we should dedicate our lives to those narrations. And we can just analyze some of these relationships, like Srila Shukadeva Goswami and Emperor Parikshit. There's a name given in the first canto, actually. Srila Prabhupada says that the Bhagavatam is also known as the Shuka Samhita, meaning that this Bhagavatam is being sung by this liberated soul, Shukadeva Goswami. And he's telling his disciple. Well, Shukadeva Goswami is actually known as the guru of all the sages. Tyam Vyasasunam Upayami Guru Muninam. Even his father, Vyasadeva, is sitting down, hearing, and all the sages at Naimisharanya. Even Narada Muni is there, and Shukadeva Goswami, yeah, he's a liberated soul. So this is being sung, this Shuka Samhita. Prabhupada also says that the Bhagavatam is known as the Paramahamsa Samhita, that this book is worshipped by the Paramahamsas. And the topic of discussion between Shukadeva Goswami and Emperor Parikshit is described in the first verse of the second canto. Prabhupada speaks about this a lot. He says, Vadyanesha te prashna, kuto lokam hitim nipa, atmavit samatam pumsam shrota vyadishu yah paraha. Shukadeva Goswami is telling Emperor Parikshit that, well, Vadyan, he says, this question you're asking is very glorious. Vadyan means glorious, and he says, this is glorious because you're asking about Krishna. You're inquiring about Krishna, and because you're inquiring about the all-attractive Supreme Lord, he says, I will speak on these subjects for your benefit and for your benefit and for all of humanity. So these discussions that are happening are great because they're in relationship to Alhoksaja, to Lord Krishna. And even we can see the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna and Krishna, they're having this divine conversation, this holy dialogue. And yeah, the Bhagavad Gita is the song of God. We should sing these prayers with very deep feeling. And Janardhan Krishna Prabhu and I were out on Sankirtan for the marathon, and we were outside of a Patel Brothers. And the day was quite long, but we had the Bhagavad Gita on repeat. So he was playing the shlokas, and that was very enlivening because we heard the whole Bhagavad Gita twice, and we certainly our hairs were standing on end. I mean, how nice is that? You just get to meet people all day, tell them about Krishna, and while you're engaging in this activity of transcendental sound vibration going on in the background, it's really the best. Actually, when I was out distributing, some person stopped me, and they gave me a really nice reminder because they told me that, my dear sir, he says, you have the best job in the world. And it really hit me. And I felt so grateful to Srila Prabhupada when this random stranger told me that, because we can just forget and think ourselves to just be the doer, or to think that what we're doing isn't so important. But yeah, and we don't want to necessarily compare ourselves to others, but to think that the service we've been given by our spiritual masters and our Param Guru, yeah, it's a fortune. They've saved our lives. So yeah, these are songs, Samhita. They should be sung, and the Vaishnavas are glorified for this, actually. There's a reference in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where it says that the Vaishnava is like a doctor, that the Vaishnava Vaidya, and this doctor carries two things. They carry hymns and instructions. And by these methods, they'll cure the dreaded disease of the heart, this hridrogam, this lust that's affecting the hearts and minds of the conditioned souls. So yeah, these relationships are wonderful and we should analyze them. Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they have very special relationship. And yeah, Rupa Goswami fell down at the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and said, Kayami, he said, people tell me that I'm a great scholar, but I don't even know who I am. Will you please tell me? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him, you're a eternal servant of Krishna. Jivarasrupa hoy Krishna and Nityadas. So these relationships are very special. And Part mentioned Srila Narada Muni and Mahamuni, Vedavyas. They have a wonderful relationship. Suresh just left. Oh, can you pull up a verse part? It's from the first canto. 4th chapter, text 27. And go down to the last paragraph, please. Oh, this is 1:4:27?
Yeah.
Oh, I must have had the diuretics wrong, but... Oh.
Yeah, it is 27.
Huh. Let me see if I can find it. It's a really nice point Prabhupada makes. I wanted to bring it up. Oh, I'm sorry. It's 25. Go down to the, last paragraph. Just go to the beginning of the paragraph. We'll just read this. The less intelligent classes of men, namely women, Shudras, and unqualified sons of the higher caste, are devoid of necessary qualifications to understand the purpose of the transcendental Vedas. For them, the Mahabharata was prepared. The purpose of the Mahabharata is to administer the purpose of the Vedas, and therefore, within this Mahabharata, the summary Veda of Bhagavad Gita is placed. The less intelligent are more interested in stories than in philosophy, and therefore the philosophy of the Vedas in the form of the Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Lord Sri Krishna Vyasadeva and Lord Krishna are both on the transcendental plane, and therefore they collaborated in doing good to the fallen souls of this age. The Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. It is the first book of spiritual values as the Upanishads are. The Vedanta philosophy is the subject matter for study by the spiritual graduates. Only the postgraduate spiritual student can enter into the spiritual or devotional service of the Lord. It is a great science, and the great professor is the Lord himself in the form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And persons who are empowered by him can initiate others in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Yeah, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the professor of this transcendental science. So, by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, we can understand the culture of Krishna consciousness. And by submitting ourselves to the Bhaktivedanta purports that Srila Prabhupada labored so hard for, then we can actually feel Krishna's love in our lives just by submitting ourselves to the words of his divine grace. And you can see that Srila Prabhupada inculcated the mood of his spiritual master. Could you look up this word inculcate? It's very important. I'd like to see a dictionary definition of this word.
Hey Siri, define inculcate.
Inculcate means instill an attitude, idea, or habit by persistent instruction.
By persistent instruction. To instill an idea or attitude or habit. So, yes, Srila Prabhupada inculcated this mood of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And we can even see when we study the life of his divine grace that when Abhay Babu was in Calcutta, he first went to meet the illustrious personality, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, at Ulta Dunga Junction Road in Calcutta. And his friend persuaded him to come, but Prabhupada wasn't really interested in just seeing another sadhu, because Prabhupada's father, whom Prabhupada said was a pure devotee in his own right, Prabhupada saw many different sadhus smoking bidis and living somewhat questionable lives, so he wasn't so interested in seeing more generic sadhus. But when he went up the staircase at this Ultadanga Junction Road, and he saw His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada bowed his head. And before Prabhupada even picked up his head from the floor, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur immediately gave him instruction. And he said, "You're a very intelligent man. You should preach this Krishna consciousness in the Western world in the English language." And Prabhupada was thinking, no, we have to become free from the subjugation of the British. First we should, And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, the only thing lacking in this world is Krishna consciousness. And then Prabhupada he felt, for the first time in his life, he was defeated. So that moment he accepted him in his heart as his Lord and Master. And Srila Prabhupada later on had a meeting at the most holiest of all places, Radha Kund, with his spiritual master, and received another instruction to, if you ever get money, print books. And we can see that this mood, Prabhupada inculcated this mood, these very few but very important instructions that he received from his Guru Maharaj. And even Mother Kamalini, Her Grace Mother Kamalini, she made a wonderful point on this Sankirtan call we had with His Holiness Bhakti Vikash Maharaj. Mataji was explaining that we can serve the authors by distributing their literature. And this is the best way to please them. And the Shastra also says, Shushushro Shradadana Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat, that by serving those great souls who are free from all vice, great service is done. And by such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. So we should distribute these books, and by distributing them, we're pleasing our Guru Parampara. And by pleasing them, they'll award us the taste of hearing about Krishna. Because if we don't get entrance into this, this is our ticket, this is our entrance into devotional service, to serve great souls. And if we don't serve, neither are we happy, nor is the Lord happy. So we have to engage in devotional service. Otherwise, you're unsatisfied and Krishna's not happy either. So it's, unfavorable. If we could go back to today's purport, I want to mention just a few things Prabhupada spoke about. 3.6.10. Oh, wow. So convenient. Prabhupada makes this point in the second sentence of the first paragraph. He says that they think that the control behind this gigantic manifestation is imagination. So this word control is very interesting. If you go to the Sri Ishopanishad, text number 1, mantra number 1. Yes, Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagat yam jagat tena taktena bunjita madgrita kasya swidhanam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. So this is a wonderful formula for Krishna consciousness, and if we just simply sign this waiver, we can sign everything off to Krishna and say, Krishna, everything belongs to you. Everything is controlled by you, and everything is owned by you. I'm not the proprietor, I'm just your servant. And if you just simply sign this waiver, everywhere you go, you'll be given service. So this is what's called the Ishavasyam spirit, meaning that Krishna gives us what we need, and we don't take anything more than that, because if we do, we become entangled. And we'd rather live a free life. We're hearing about this universal form in the third canto, and this is one of the primary subjects of the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is this Sankhya Yoga, to analyze the material energy. And the Sankhya philosophy is the mainstay of it's the main subject matter. And when we're going through this third canto, we'll see that Srila Prabhupada makes this reference to the frog philosophers quite often. He may use this analogy about, maybe like 10 times or something like that. In the third canto, Prabhupada mentions it a lot. So we'll hear more about that. But to analyze the material elements, the universal form is somewhat of a tricky subject matter. But I wanted to go a little bit more into our present lives, and we can do that by simply analyzing our universe, planet Earth, Mother Earth. And in the Shastra, it is said, Attamata Guru Patni Brahmani Rajapatnika Denor Datri Tata Prithvi Saptaiva Marata Smrita. That there are 7 mothers Can any of us name any of these mothers? You don't have to get all of them, but
The Guru's mother.
that's
Sorry,
one.
the Guru's wife.
The Guru's wife, yeah, the wife of the spiritual master, Guru Patni. The cow is one. The earth, yeah. Your mother also, yeah. The wife of a brahmana, the wife of the king. I think that's 6.
That's 6.
The cow, and the nurse. Yeah. And in also certain places, Srila Prabhupada actually says that the Vedas are our mother, because when we want to understand our father, Krishna, we go to the Vedic literature, who is our mother. And if we want to know any information about our father, we just ask our mother. It's very simple. So, yeah. We can see that there are so many discrepancies and anomalies from disrespecting our mothers. And Bhumi Devi is known to be a very chaste lady because she always keeps herself covered. And she's covered by lush grasses, fragrant flowers, medicinal herbs, trees, vegetables, roots, flowers, fruits, all different kinds of things. So Mother Earth is a very chaste woman. But we can see how this Asuric Varnashram is actually disrobing our mother, just like Srimati Draupadi was stripped in the assembly of her cloth. We can see how this demoniac civilization is leaving our earth feeling bereft because we're actually insulting her and dishonoring her. And this is being done by industrial agriculture in the form of tractors, which have these big giant discs, and they're cutting into the earth. And it's leaving the soil barren, meaning that the soil isn't covered anymore. The earth is just bare, the sun hits it, and it just becomes, it's not fertile. So this is like the gradual disrobing of Mother Earth. And you can see how, I don't know about you guys, but I've never known a tractor to reproduce in its life. You buy one tractor, and soon enough it'll break down. But a cow, you have one cow, and it'll give, birth to children, and it's, at every step, the cow is nourishing the earth by passing stool and urine. But with every turn of the wheels of this tractor, it's simply destroying the planet. And when the land is barren, what do you have to do? Bring in fertilizers. And chemical fertilizers, pesticides, GMOs. These kinds of things are actually disturbing the very codes and DNA of our planet. And you're basically pumping steroids into your mother. And the long-term effect of this, maybe you get more milk, maybe you get more produce, but the long-term effect is that we will slowly watch this beautiful, lush earth planet wither away and burn to ashes because of over-exploitation. And this, Surik Varnashram culture is really, really terrible. And we can ask ourselves, why is agriculture so important in Srila Prabhupada's mission? And the fact of the matter is that when you're beholden to someone, meaning that when you're dependent on someone, they control you. And as of now, they're controlling us with food and water. And one of my mentors, he's a Prabhupada disciple, he lives in the community, and he's always asking the devotees, what will you do when the city runs out of water? And the people living there just assume that that day will never come. But Prabhupada spoke about this. What will you do when these demoniac civilizations collapse? Will we be ready? And it may sound delightful, it may sound convenient to turn the faucet and have water right there, but it's a means of control. They're actually controlling us, and it's not just through food and water. But when you eat this food that's chemically ridden, then you become controlled by their medical system, and then their media, and then their education system, and you get involved in this culture, and you take on their qualities, and you become polluted. Bhakti Vikash Swami Maharaj gave a class, I believe, called Run by Demons, for Demons. This whole civilization, Prabhupada says, this materialistic civilization is condemned. This city life is doomed. So we can see that when we're disconnected from the mother, we can't truly understand the father. And I made a lot of notes here. We can ask ourselves, is what we're buying from the store is this even edible? Is this even offerable to Krishna? Srila Prabhupada wanted all of his city temples, which you're given allowance in the city to preach vigorously. That's the mission statement of a city temple, is to preach, the brahmacharis and brahmacharinis. But these temples should be supplied. Prabhupada wanted all of his city temples to be supplied by a farm, bringing milk, bringing vegetables for the devotees. And this is actually the standard. Srila Prabhupada visited New Vrindavan, and he was there taking prasadam at the home of grihasta couple, householders. And Prabhupada said, this should be the standard. He said, this should be the standard at New Vrindavan. He said, your garden should be so close to your home. He says that you pick fresh, offer to Krishna, and take his remnants all in one sequence, demonstrating patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhakti prayachati. So if we want to know our Father, then we have to very carefully respect our mother. We should very, very earnestly and very seriously consider what Srila Prabhupada called the second half of his movement, which is Varnashram. And Varnashram is very much dependent on agriculture. And for Daivi Varnashram, we have to be autonomous, meaning that we live lives that are centered around morality. And when we're beholden to these demoniac powers, then we're forced to take on the qualities and characteristics of the people running the civilization. And we have to become realistically independent. And we can do that by understanding that our true dependence is on our Supreme Father Krishna and on our mother below us, Mother Earth. And these sorts of religions that condemn God's creation, seeing that the Father is only in heaven, but they condemn this aspect of this universe, this planet, these kinds of religions, they actually only attract people which are judgmental and controlling. So when there's not proper attention given to Krishna's different energies, then we ourselves are certainly incomplete. And actually, only by living in harmony can we actually feel balance. And we shouldn't feel like we're orphans in this world, because that's a very painful experience. We should feel that we're actually children of the divine, and that we, are always meditating and desiring to serve our Supreme Father, our Supreme Well-Wisher Krishna, by protecting his creation of Mother Earth. And we should be doing that in such a way to where we're actually allowed the facility to chant like a child who's crying out for its mother, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We should work in such a way to that where that relationship with the holy name is, our lifestyle should be congenial for that sort of relationship to manifest, which is what Srila Prabhupada said about, that's the whole purpose behind these Varnashrama farm missions, is to save time for hearing and chanting about Krishna. I really like to hear about these things, so I'm making an effort to speak about them. Sorry. Run by demons, for demons. If anyone hasn't heard that lecture, I recommend looking that up. I have a couple more minutes. I'll just make a couple more comments here. Agriculture and cow protection are the prime occupations of the residents of Vrindavan. And this is represented by Krishna and Balaram, by the emblems that they carry. Lord Krishna is holding the flute, which he uses to herd his calves, and Balaram is wielding the plow. And the agriculture is not meant for like hillbillies, hicks, rednecks. It's actually Prabhupada says in the light of the Bhagavad that it's the most noble occupation. And Srila Prabhupada encouraged us to live in harmony with nature. He says that we should live off the lap of Mother Nature. And these are actually the roots of Vedic culture. And it's not that this is simply sattvic living. It's actually a deep theological principle. And the fact that we haven't come to a certain standard for our society and for our devotees at large is really embarrassing, actually. How we're forced to place ourselves within this Asurik Varnashram, basically. They've set up this system, and we're forced to plug ourselves into it, basically. But it'll take many, many generations to strengthen this culture of Krishna consciousness, and this this mood of caring for Krishna's creation is actually demonstrated by a pastime of Lord Chaitanya found in the Chaitanya Bhagavat of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. So Mahaprabhu and his devotees, his associates, they would hold dramas at the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to display all of his different shaktis, all of his different energies. So Mahaprabhu began to dance and take on all these different kinds of forms. And he took on the form of Rukmini, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began crying, and he was writing letters on the ground with his tears to Krishna. And no one could even recognize that it was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even Sachi Mata, his own mother, couldn't recognize who he was. Mahaprabhu was going in these ecstatic, no one had ever seen dancing like that, and he took on the form of Ganga Devi. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was pouring tears from his eyes, and they said, he must be Ganga Devi, you know. And this is described very elaborately and very nicely in the Madhya Kanda, I believe, Chaitanya Bhagavat. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then takes on the form of Bhumi Devi, and then all his devotees there are offering prayers to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's in this mood of the goddess. And actually in the purports there, Srila Bhaktisanta Saraswati Thakur makes a wonderful point. He says that the energies of Krishna, like I've been mentioning, that the energies of Krishna should be respected. And he says, even the material ones have a spiritual face. Only, he says, if we're sufficiently humble and grateful, can we actually, will that spiritual face be revealed to us? So it's very relevant to us. And Srila Prabhupada made this the second half of his mission. And we should endeavor to fulfill that mission that he labored so much for. So, we're hearing a lot about the universal form. I haven't really dived deeply into the universal form. I'm more rather thinking about our present universe. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about Varnashrama culture, because it's necessary for us to ponder and contemplate these kinds of subject matters. So it's 8:30. If anyone has any questions or comments, corrections, arguments, we have a lot of time for discussion. No one has any intense schedules so much.
Excuse me. A question about this point you're making at the end.
Is it on? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just a little
Sorry, I can hear you.
About material things actually have a spiritual face if we're humble enough to see that.
Yeah.
That's, just to clarify, that's like the vision of the Uttama Adhikari, right? Is to see everything on the spiritual platform, like all beings as servants of Krishna. Is this correct? Because I'm just curious exactly what that means. Everything material actually has a spiritual face.
Yeah, the overall theme that Bhaktisanta Saraswati Thakur is making in these purports in that chapter is that the various energies of Krishna should be respected. And I guess you could say that, to the level of realization of that devotee, whether they're Kanishta, Madhyama, or Uttama, maybe there's different degrees of that level of respect that's shown due to one's own realization, you could say. But it's not that sort of vision is only bestowed to the first-class devotee. I mean, Kanishta Adhikari should be respecting Krishna's energies also. Yeah. Yeah, it's not reserved only for, the topmost, I would say. It's for everyone. Yeah, it's a very basic principle, actually.
Another question about the context of this verse. I remember Mitravan Prabhu he talked about this in his class, but I don't quite remember. So these demigods, this is before like Krishna created the universe, and the demigods are like praying for some sort of guidance. So are these demigods? Are they demigods in the spiritual world, or are they because I'd assume once Krishna creates the universe, then the demigods are created there. So it seems like these demigods, which prayed to Krishna in this context, are aloof from the universe.
Yeah, I just have to say I don't know.
Yeah, if Mitravan were here, because he...
You're asking whether or not these demigods are situated in the...
Yeah, well, it seems like they're situated outside of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering, like, are they spiritual? Are they in the spiritual world, or in some sort of in between?
Sort of like... what I was able to pick up on that is that the demigods are just praying to the Lord for guidance, basically. But I'm not exactly sure where they're situated.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
something to ask Mitravan
Ask this
on my own time.
resident scholar.
Yeah. Quick comment. You were talking about this person on book distribution told you have the best job ever. That's really awesome. I remember reading Srila Prabhupada said that attainment of devotional service is the topmost accomplishment. So, in one sense, we've achieved like the topmost thing. So, good to meditate on that and be grateful. Another comment is that we're attracted to the lifestyle of demoniac civilization, and we even see like brahmacharis. I can think of one case of, I mean, we hear about we shouldn't be like attached to the brahmachari ashram. Even like if we're a brahmachari, we shouldn't have the mentality, I'm a brahmachari because I don't want the responsibility of being a grahasta. And I've seen this before, and similar is the mentality, I want to be a brahmachari because I want to preach in the city, I want to live in the city, I want a hot shower, therefore I want to be a brahmachari. I want to be renounced, because I want this hot shower, I want this this prasad, deep fried in ghee, everything. But this isn't like the real mood of brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is for serving the spiritual master, and sometimes one should get married and try to raise a family on a farm in service to the spiritual master, and that's a real mood of renunciation. So I guess as brahmacharis it's important we shouldn't be attached to the material facilities, but rather be attached to the mission of the spiritual master, which in some cases means to get married and live on a farm.
Port, can you pull up a verse for me, please? Canto 5, chapter 12. Yep, 12:12.
I can't imagine how that sounded on the live stream.
Rahuganai tat tapasa nayati natejaya nirvapranad grihad va natandasa naiva jalangi suryar vina mahat pararajobhishekam. My dear King Rahugana, unless one has the opportunity to smear his entire body with the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees, one cannot realize the absolute truth. One cannot realize the absolute truth simply by observing celibacy, brahmacharya, strictly following the rules and regulations of householder life, leaving home as a vanaprastha, accepting sannyas, or undergoing severe penances in winter by keeping oneself submerged in water or surrounding oneself in summer by fire and the scorching heat of the sun. There are many other processes to understand the absolute truth, but the absolute truth is only revealed to one who has attained the mercy of a great devotee. That's for you, approval.
This new one in the comment.
Hare Krishna.
Yep. Alright. You're good.
Okay, yeah. So the demigods are these demigods are outside the universes, and they are prototypes of the living entity demigods. And these demigods, along with Hiranyagarbha Brahma, are expansions of the Supreme Law. Yeah, regarding brahmacharis, yes, there is the service. However, there are so many services that need to get done. And bottom line is there is always a general principle, and Prabhupada says this very clearly, even I just sent a couple of quotes. I sent one quote yesterday to some devotees from Transcendental Diary. And, well, I could actually read it. So it's just to understand the general principle of things. So Prabhupada says that, but that wasn't Srila Prabhupada's only reservation. Another difficulty is the boy and the girl, they also do not stick. That is another difficulty. I reminded him that he had said the only real solution to these problems was to chant. Prabhupada agreed, that is the only solution. Then he added what he considered the best solution for both men and women. If one can remain without marriage, that is first class. Women also. What is the use of this material husband? Make Krishna husband. Krishna is prepared to become everything. Love him as husband, love him as son. Love him, friend, Krishna is prepared. So, yeah, if somebody is being brahmachari for other reasons, then they won't last automatically. But at the same time, a brahmachari is not expected to become. If one is satisfied and one is happy, and one spiritual master is happy with one's service, there's so many things that need to get done. But a brahmachari he shouldn't, unless the spiritual master explicitly asks him to get married, which is an extremely rare thing. It is there, therefore, on principle, yes, a brahmachari should get married if his spiritual master thinks it's required for service. But also contextually, that kind of a thing comes direct instruction. It's generally never just implied. And such a direct instruction of the spiritual master is very rare, extremely rare. And is generally only effective in the context of varnashram dharma. Because in the current context, if the spiritual master instructs a disciple to get married, because we don't have varnashram dharma yet, it's actually a bit of a problem. Because if that disciple doesn't stay married, then the disciple will blame the spiritual master. I was happy as a brahmachari, he got me married, now I'm divorced. So the spiritual master may suggest, but hardly ever orders in this case. There are cases where he is ordered, at least with our Guru Maharaj, but that is within the context of Varnashram Dharma, such as in the farm communities in Nandagram. And even there are examples of Gurukul boys who were determined to be brahmacharis, and Maharaj did allow them to be brahmacharis also. So, a brahmachari who, without a direct instruction, is already considering that, is already meant to go into the Grihastha ashram. But the general principle is that if one can be satisfied and happy, which technically, if one thinks from a philosophical perspective, one who is satisfied and happy by being celibate is the best, because there's a lot less to deal with. So that is the general principle.
I guess, in the context of Varnashram farm communities, Varnashram includes brahmacharis too. So if more presence is needed on the farm, you can remain brahmachari and help out in some capacity.
Kormagram is mostly brahmacharis, yeah.
Yeah, Brahminical advisors and
I mean, ideally it wouldn't be so imbalanced,
Yeah.
but because they're beginning the project, there's a little,
Yeah.
it's not mature yet.
Yeah. And then, of course, the children growing up. I guess, kind of the mood now is that the brahmacharis are meant for preaching. So if that's not available on the farm, then, of course, maybe that's not the best place for them.
They're distributing the books, yeah. The brahmacharis are preaching. Grihastas are like maintaining the place.
Mm.
It's great. They're doing a wonderful job.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, you're saying how we should try to understand or question whether the stuff that we're getting through this, the foodstuffs that are being produced by this demoniac civilization, whether it's even offerable to Krishna. So could you just expand on that a little bit more in regards to like the grains, the produce, and everything else?
Yeah. Yeah, we can ask ourselves, is it even edible? Because they're basically just ridden with toxins and pesticides and chemicals. And it just basically comes from being inattentive and realizing that we're, knowingly taking poison, basically, because we're unorganized as a devotional society, what to speak about, materially. Even nowadays, what's considered organic isn't even, organic means that you're adding organic matter to your soil every season. But now the fruits that are classified as organic, they're just being pumped with liquids that have some sort of like, whatever, I don't know, like chemical, they basically pump chemicals in the lines, and then like Driscoll's, they make all these different raspberries and strawberries. Those are all grown in hydroponics, and they don't have any nutritional value. May taste good and may be organic, but the long-term effects of this on the planet are just like detrimental. Yeah, we're disrobing Mother Earth by participating in these kinds of activities. And who's giving attention to the second half of Prabhupada's mission? Not many devotees are doing that. So we should feel very embarrassed, actually, that we've haven't been able to fulfill some of the orders. Actually, I heard one sannyasi say that if we had followed Prabhupada's instructions on agriculture and cow protection, we would be at the front end of the green movement for the entire world. Would be a shining example. But even the cow protection that exists within our society is only 49%. People are just taking care of the cows for the milk. But in Vedic culture, the oxen were, the milk was like a, actually. The oxen were doing all the work, and we were at Vishnu Chitta Prabhu and I were at Govardhan Eco Village, and the gentleman showing us around Tulsi Priya Prabhu, he told us how if an oxen were to escape or run away, the man would basically chase after it like it was his own son. The oxen was so valuable. But now you see that, and Prabhupada was pissed off when he went to temples and he saw that the oxen weren't engaged. Just like if the temple president came and he saw all the brahmacharis hanging around, eating potato chips, laying around, you'd be chastised heavily. So, yeah, cow protection, agriculture. Prabhupada said that these are the ways that we'll be able to conquer over and destroy this animalistic society. These two programs are solid preaching programs, books and farms. Did you want to add something, Suresh Prabhu?
Well, you already brought it up. Actually, I was just going to bring up because I thought I heard you say that before, that we would be at the forefront of the green movement if we had been on top of it. But it's similar that recent lecture, like how they say Krishna arranged this like hippie movement era kind of thing for Prabhupada to come in and capitalize on it. And like, you know, in retrospect, it's like, oh, it was such a like perfect time, but like going into it obviously is like completely like opposite of like the principles of Krishna consciousness. But those were like very right people. But then similarly, like, although we maybe have not gone on top of it as quick as we'd liked, it's pretty much right there, you know, for the taking to like, you know, be the shining example for the world and take it over. And looking back on it, you'll see it was the perfect timing, but got to start now.
I mean, you shared that the other day. You finished the Transcendental Diary, and Prabhupada was saying in '77, he says, we're entering into a new era of our movement, Varnashram. That was almost 50 years ago, you know. Yeah. And it's sad that we're not giving devotees the opportunity to take shelter of this lifestyle, actually. It's really sad. We're all just like malnourished like devotees because we don't have this divine relationship with Mother Earth, actually. It's really sad, especially Mother Cow. Yeah, we should, I feel shameful, actually. I feel totally embarrassed. It's really sad. But we should have courage and usher forward with marching orders of His Divine Grace and His representatives. Because, yeah, Shivaram Maharaj, Bhakti Vikash Maharaj, it's amazing. Books and Farms, these are our two solid programs. Yeah. Are there any questions from the Vaishnavis? Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vaishnavi Namo Namo Namo